Hello and welcome back to the ministry. We're on part 13 of Now You See Me. So, God is in the middle of a move. He's shifting things. He's setting things up. He's positioning things. He knows what he's doing. All the world groaneth in wait for the manifestation of the sons of God. But those sons of God that have sat in position, this is what I was saying at the end of the last video. Those sons of God that have sat in position have been in a state like in Psalms 77:4. For all mine enemies set watch against me, and I was troubled and spoke not. Because of you, Lord, I can't sleep and am restless and can't even talk. My eyes prevent watches, and I am troubled, and I spoke not. Thou holdest mine eyes watch, and I am troubled that I. A lot of us have been in a state of being troubled. God was giving us visions. God was giving us dreams. God has woke us up in the middle of the night. He's had us praying. He's had us fasting. He's had us consecrating. He's had us in his state, in his face, in his presence. He's been giving us downloads. We've been up in the middle of the night working on things that we didn't even know what in the world that was we were working on. We were sitting there like, God, what is this? Ask me how I know. And we was troubled because it's like, you done gave me all this stuff, and what am I gonna do with it? Can't sleep, tossing and turning, having to pray in tongues, having to pray because we have been groaneth in waiting, in isolation. We were that Joseph in the spiritual prison, waiting for us to be exalted into our positions, being told your promise is coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. We have been in that troubled place. But God has had his people that, just like I'm being reminded of the statement when Obadiah had put the prophets in the caves. He had 50 prophets in one cave, 50 prophets in another cave eating bread and water because it was for an appointed time they were supposed to come out. That is what God has been doing with his children. For the appointed time. And when they come out, I just said in Revelations 3, it talks about when the people of the world will bow to the children of God. And I'm not talking out of the side of my mouth. I've heard this from multiple ministers. God is about to do it. God is really about to do it. Next. This is what happens in the actual film. They give them papers to write their current balances on. And then they have to take a flashlight to the number. It appears that Tressler's account dropped $70,000. The woman that had she had $562. Now has $70,562. For the woman, for a guy in the audience pulled out his phone and checked his balance, and everyone else pulled out their phones to check their balances, and all of their balances had changed as Tressler's check amount dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. God is taking from the wicked and giving to the righteous in this hour. This man was a credit union. Did we not just see 3 different banks crash? Did we not? Oh, okay. And you thought that was a happenstance. Remember quite a few years back, something similar happened. I think it was in the real estate market. Get ready, because God is preparing to invest. People, I'm being reminded of the scripture that talks about the fact that by this time tomorrow, it will be worth a shekel. And the man said that even if Could it happen? It's going to happen. That just as sinisterly as the enemy has slowly been siphoning money away from God's people, God is going to take it right out from under the nose of the enemy. And you can bet that. You can bet it. Don't be mad at the messenger. Touch not thy anointed. Do my prophets no harm. Okay. Moving on. So Tressler tried to attack them. Henley said, during the recession, Tressler's bank stole millions of dollars from the customers. Now they are getting paid back. You know how they steal from you? I'm going to tell you exactly how they steal from you. They steal from you in fees. They steal from you in overdrafts. They steal from you. The other day I don't even know why anymore I try to use prepaid cards, because it's just ridiculous how much fees. I had a $20 bill to put on a prepaid card, and it told me I can't even put this money on your card because I need to charge you $5 extra before I can even put the money on your card. And then they charge you $2 to $3, maybe even $4, to use the card. So let's imagine I would barely be able to make any purchases with that if they charged me $3 on every purchase, just on $20. How many fees is that aside from putting the money on the card? And maybe if I made 2 purchases, that's like already $10 gone. 10, $11 gone. I wouldn't even be able to spend more than what? $8 off of it, out of $20? You think God's not gonna turn this thing around? You sorrowfully mistaken. Inflation, all of this. No, God's in the middle of it. He's about to do something. Because, Revelations 5, it talks about the fact that a day's wage, and this is seal number 3, a day's wage will be the equivalent of what needs to buy food. Are we not seeing inflation right now? That is the 3rd horseman, I believe. Yeah. When Tressler tried to attack them, Danny caused the chain to appear on the stage and capture Tressler's foot. Did I not say in the previous word that the ties and the chains that bound you are now going to go onto your enemies? God is removing the yoke from you and putting it on your enemies. This man was the head of the credit union and now is chained down. Think about that. God's going to use the very banks. Remember when it talks about in the Bible that, hold on. I had the scripture in my mind and it slipped me. I'm going to come from this perspective. Not just that God takes the wealth of the wicked and gives to the poor, because that's a given. But we talked about Exodus, that when all of the plagues had taken place, the Israelites went to the Egyptians, and what did they do? They gave up all of their gold, their silver, their jewelry. They gave it up to the Israelites. God will make them give it up. He will shift the circumstances overnight, that the people that are in high power positions, I will, does it not say, pull down one and raise up another? Overnight, he can turn situations around. Uh-huh. So, with that being said, was there anything else I was supposed to say right there? I don't remember if there's anything else. But if the Lord reminds me, I will say it. So the cop charged the stage, and as soon as he said the word freeze, all of the people that had previously been hypnotized in order to say at the word the freeze to go attack the quarterback, yeah, they all attacked him. So the audience turned and started to attack him, and then he's trying to figure out where they ran to. They take off and get off the stage. The cops start trying to figure out where in the world they went. He's got a tracker, and he's like, I got him on track. I tracked him. And he's sitting up there trying to track them, and turns out they were tracking him. The phone was tracking him, and they got away. He cannot believe he got played so bad. He gets drunk, and he's talking to the Interpol woman. I keep forgetting what her name was. And she's trying to get him to see the bright side of the situation. She gives him advice and tells him that they will catch these people. She's trying to get him to stop drinking. And he's trying to tell her, where did you come from? Where did you do this? How did you get here? This, that, and the other. Because she was throwing him off. Let's have a moment to talk about kingdom marriage here. When God says it's time for the God-ordained spouse to show up, it doesn't matter what the man is doing or dealing with. God will start to show this man. And this is what has been happening. I've been getting so many confirmations of this. Oh my God, if I told you. If you could see what I get on a day-to-day basis that the Lord be showing me to confirm. So many confirmations that these men have changed their minds. We, the kingdom wives, that as we have prayed for our spouses, literally have positioned ourselves, to be able that when these men come for us, they literally were caught off guard that even a kingdom wife was available to them. And that's kind of like what this man is coming from. Where did you come from? What are you doing here? They don't even understand. They're spiritually confused as to how they got pulled into this kingdom marriage thing, because they weren't expecting it. They didn't understand what it was. And unlike us, who are staying spiritually in alignment and getting given instructions day by day from God, or who he witnesses to us through on a day-to-day basis, showing us his will and his way, the God-ordained spouses may not be getting that. That's why I pray, and I suggest you pray, that if you are standing for a kingdom spouse, that you pray that God sends the witnesses of his own to witness to your God-ordained spouse. They be confused. They don't be knowing. They're like, what in the world is this? But when God sends the right people to witness to them and speak to them and get them in order and get them in alignment, it brings forth a manifestation of what it is that God is trying to do. It is. So she ends up slapping him in the face. No, actually, no. She slams his head down on the table. And then he gets up and she drops her bag. She has a notebook where she has the image of the eye. God is all seeing and all knowing. And I'm going to just leave that at that. I'm not going to go any further into that. And she says she ain't even going to explain it. Just like I'm not right now. Anyway, Thaddeus is approached by Tressler. But catch this conversation. This time he wants to make a deal. Tressler thinks that Thaddeus is involved in this situation. Let me tell you something about God. God will literally have people in places and positions to be informants, to be informers, and all this type of stuff. These people don't even know that they're the ones that are informing the situation, but they were placed there just to give this person that information, even though it's not going to change the situation nor the circumstance in any way in their benefit. It's just that they're there. That's it. And not to mention that when he has placed somebody there and you operate in the wrong heart posture and or take deals from the enemy, you put yourself in position to eventually have judgment come back against you irregardless. Period. By him even accepting this man's deal, positioned him as an enemy. I'm hearing Exodus 23 20 something. It states, I will become an adversary to your adversaries and an enemy to your enemies. The second that he did this to his own benefit, he positioned himself for a judicial marking against him, because this is how God works. And I'm going to show you how this went. And catch this. He tells him, you are a trick. God will take these people, and I'm seeing a cat scruffing a mouse. When God is ready, he will pick them up like mice. He said, I was a $144 million trick. Absolutely. God don't care. If you got the money, he will take trillions of dollars from you. He just needs the avenue to take it through, and he will have his children provide the valley. I'm hearing, it's a specific word that I'm hearing right now. Come on, God, it's on the tip of my tongue. What is it? A waterway, a a pass through. That's what it is. God will create a pass-through for streams of this financial income to come through in order to get to his children. And he don't care how he do it. But when he do it, it will not be stopped. He says, yes, that's the same ego is exactly what got you destroyed. Ego. Let me show you what ego means. Hold on one second. It is a person's sense of self-esteem and self-importance, boosting of their own ego, the part of the mind that meditates between the conscious and the unconscious is responsible for the reality testing and sense of personality identification. The conscious thinking of a subject. So basically, is when you are too puffed up over yourself. And because you are too puffed up, and this does not sound like the devil, that he will get too puffed up and think that he has any level of control over God. Isn't that how he got thrown from heaven? Him and all the angels that decided to follow him. And then God showed them by throwing him down to earth. There's also a scripture I'm seeing Isaiah 14. It talks about that they exalt themselves as unto the being like the Most High, but God throws them down. Yeah. And that was because this guy's own ego wanted to destroy him. He comes to the very man, your enemies will come back to you because they are now your footstools. Because did not Thaddeus tell him that he was going to enact the exact same punishment that he wanted to bring upon somebody else? And now he came back to him. God will make your enemies return to you, seeking your help. There's a scripture in the Bible, I cannot think of the character's name, that talks about a man who he had warned the people of something, but they did not take his advice. When it happened, they came back to him after he had been exalted, and he could have taken the fullness of the right that he had to tell these individuals, I told you so, but he chose to act honorably in the Lord's will and desire and benefit for the blessing of God. So Thaddeus tells him, what? Destroy me? No, you're not going to destroy them either. This trick was designed a long time ago. Hear me with your spiritual ears. This thing that God is doing and he's going to do in order to change and transform and shift this thing financially, this was done a long time ago. You're just seeing the outward manifestation of it now in the name of Jesus. And you're just a part of it. Did I not say in one of the previous words that you are unconsciously, unknowingly, but willingly a participant of God's plan? And so is the enemy. And he can't stop it. He can't prevent it. He can't monitor it. He can't do anything. He's just going to have to watch. I remember hearing a minister from 3 to 6 months ago literally say, your enemies are going to have no choice but to watch. They ain't going to be able to stop not one thing that God is doing. They're just going to have to sit back and watch. You better get your popcorn because it's about to go down. So I suggest you sit back and enjoy yourself. You have a front row seat. You paid quite a lot of good money for it. Megan Michelle did a video and it was called Get Your Popcorn. Did I not just say that? Moving on, Tressler states, whatever you stand to make, I will double it if you expose them now. He said, I stand to make $5 million. He said, am I flinching? He said, no. No, you're not. But see, when you make a deal with the devil, did I not just say that you will be protected as long as you're walking with the Lord? But this person was not consciously walking with God. Matter of factly, let's just talk about it from this perspective. Thaddeus, when he did this trick, like Jesus with the water and the wine, he was operating as the magicians, the magi, when Moses and Aaron came to the Pharaoh and they duplicated the exact same miracles. When Aaron threw the staff and it turned into a snake, so did all of the magicians that were standing there. But Aaron's snake still ate all of them. God shall not be mocked, not by any means necessary. I'm hoping you understand that. With that being said, the agent goes back to his room and finds the Interpol agent sleeping. He sees the book that she's reading in relation to the eye. Every time I see the word the eye, I see Elroy. Elroy means the God that sees. God sees everything your enemy is doing, and it does not matter to him. That's how he's 1 step ahead, 2 steps ahead, 5 steps ahead, 10 steps ahead. That's how. You ain't gonna stop God's show. So let's see. He's having a conversation with her, and he was talking about how he was drunk and all of this, and they were talking about the secrets of the group, the I. And let's just talk about this. If God is all knowing and God is all seeing, you think that he doesn't have his children, because that's pretty much what the reference is. This society of the I is people that have been recruited, just like God recruits his children. And if they take his oath, which is to leave your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your wife, all of these people, and walk with him and do upon his principles and his precepts, he will lead them into the manifestation of what it is that they are called to walk into. But the reason they call it a society, we aren't in a secret society. We are known, but nobody wants to know that God is ever to be that powerful, okay? And that he is all knowing and all seeing as to like that. So they're trying to get into this thing. She says, I guess it doesn't make sense. I don't think logic will solve this for us. I don't think some of these things will be resolved. You have to take a sudden leap. Last night I was looking at 532. I told you guys once before, 532 means leap year. There are things that God will not give you all of the steps to, even when he's giving you the door. The only way you're going to make it through the door is going in a route where you're going to have a blind spot. And where that blind spot is, you're going to have to take a leap. Because it's in taking a leap in that blind spot is where you will see the manifestation of God's will and desire and the answer to your prayers. The woman, I told you in the previous part, when she got the opportunity, the guy asked her, would she just go to the meeting? She went to the meeting. When that woman came to her and challenged her, she ended up making it VP of that company in a matter of 45 days. The opportunity did not look like it was there, but she elevated quickly when she walked through the door. The only way that she was able to walk through the door is when she made the decision to take the leap and to check out the offer. This is how God works. You have to take a sudden leap. And it's interesting. The guy almost kissed the woman in this moment, but they ended up stepping away from each other. For your God-ordained spouse, they are going to have to make a choice to take a leap in your direction. Go back and watch my word. He's leaping in your direction. That's a 6-part video. I break it all the way down. But yeah, in order to bring about the manifestation of what needs to happen, which will bring forth a fruitful harvest for the both of you when they make that move, which is plentiful financially, that you will be set and reset into the garden of God's Eden in this earth for you both as a promise manifested into your lives. That was just a little gimme right there. Anyway, moving next, he gets a call telling him that his phone was tapped. And she says right as he gets the call, It would almost be as if they were watching us. So once he finds out that the phone was tapped, he tells them to go back and look at the videotape. When they go back and look at the videotape, when Danny made his declaration a few parts back, and remember when the woman poured the soda onto the table, he grabbed the officer's phone. When he grabbed the officer's phone, he switched it and gave him an identical duplicate. It was never his phone. They had his phone the whole time. Days they've had his phone. And now he thinks that they don't know that he has figured it out. So he's saying, oh, let them think that I don't know. Turn my phone back on and it's going to be like this. But they already done figured it out. And because they figured it out, they are panicking. When God gives you a directive, sometimes he don't give you all of the mishaps, the situations, the scenarios that are going to happen. But remember what I said in the earlier part, right? That if you stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, God's going to show you your way out. Does it not say in his word that there is not a place that he will not maketh a way of escape? Because his yoke is easy and his burdens are light. That if he sets you in a situation and circumstance, it's either to test you, to try you, or to set up a scenario that is later going to be of benefit to you later on. That's how God works. So they're all in the room. They complaining. They trying to pack up stuff. They're like, oh my God, they know now. And the one guy, Jack, who had gotten the death card. Now let's review what seal 3 was. 3 was famine. That prices would go so far up that a day's wage will be worth what you would have to pay in order to eat. And that was the black horse of death. Okay? I just wanted to address that while we were here. Anyway, moving forward. So when he sees the death card, he gets a little upset. And he's like, I don't know if I want to do this. And they say, you have to do this. Just clean it up. Burn it. Take care of it. God will make it so that, one, he will clean up after you. The Holy Spirit fire of God will be behind you every step of the way. It is only human error, because we are humans, that will cause us to be caught up and caught off guard. And even in our human error,